Indeed. Yeah, it is.
You get the sunshine.
It is. No, it's great. For guys getting back, we got back fairly late, early in the morning from Southern California, but you could already tell, like, having an off day yesterday, getting to sleep in our own beds, and knowing we have a weekend series here at Goss, I think everyone's excited about that, no doubt. Families are excited. I know Beaver Nation is excited to see us back home, and it looks like we got a lot of sunshine this weekend too, so a lot to be excited about, playing a good opponent, you name it, and coming off of a good road trip. There's momentum there, but at the same time, just like making sure that we're resetting and focusing on getting after it today at practice. Still a ton of things to develop on, and that was our staff meeting this morning. All right, where do we got to get better? And let's start pushing even harder on those things.
Probably don't want to make one midweek game bigger than probably what it is, but just from Tuesday, just how much do you sense that just kind of building something?
Well, the way we look at every single game, regardless of who our opponent is or where they're ranked or what they've done thus far this season, we always assume every team's going to bring their best to come play us. And we treat every game like it's game 3 of the World Series, right? Do everything you possibly can with your energy, your intent, your preparation to go out and win. But, knowing, how important RPI is, knowing how important each and every game is, home or road, they're all big victories. And if we're unable to get the W in the column, those are big games for us as well, because they're teaching us something about where we need to improve. I know there's been a lot of excitement about that road trip. Sweeping on the road throughout the entirety is a good thing, and I've told the guys, even after we won the first 2 games, like, it shouldn't even have to be said at this point. The job's not done. It's not about being a good team, it's about being a great team, and great teams show up. On Sundays, they show up. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, they show up. And even on an off day on a Monday, they show up and get their job done to recuperate for the next opportunity. So it's a goldfish memory. Rinse, repeat, and continue to work hard, and if we get complacent or if we get too high or too low for any of the games this year, that can lead to issues.
How's Mason doing after that start?
Well, yesterday was off. He and I just talked for a quick moment on the phone and checked in, see how he's doing. But we'll know more at the end of this week. Obviously, take a couple days, assess what's going on, see how his body's feeling. Get looked at from our trainer, from docs, and all that other stuff, and just tidy those things up. So we'll see. We'll know more probably end of this week. Yeah.
Do you feel like your team is gelling right now at just the right time, coming together, the offense starting slow, but now it's doing very well, and the pitching staff and all of that coming together?
Well, anytime like one side's, whether it's offense or pitching and defense, if one side's not performing at the level we should be, you love to see the other side picking it up. And I see both sides really handling their business, and even then there's a ton, like I said, that we can clean up to really put ourselves in a stronger situation to perform in games. But that's kind of what you want to see, is as the fall progresses, you want to see guys getting to know each other more and more. You want to have a good idea of what these guys are capable of doing and where their opportunities for growth are. And then as the season starts, that's a whole new obstacle. And so where the guys are trending right now is the right direction. How they, their routines and how they communicate and perform in pregame, and how they go about their business in game. The importance of the bullpen guys being in the dugout or having the day before starter rally up and just bring energy. And when we were in Southern California, it was pretty warm outside. And so every time we go somewhere it's hot, you can really blow out the energy in the first 5 innings, and the sun will get you. And so you got to make sure that you're doing things. You have part of your routine is to make sure that you're staying hydrated, consuming some calories, and mixing it up. So, if there's a pitching change or in between innings, making sure the guys that are in charge of bringing the energy are sitting down on the bench, recharging their batteries so that when we're out there performing, they're bringing the right kind of energy and focus for the guys, and also for those guys on the bench. I think that aren't in the game, each of the guys have had a lot of success coming off the bench and performing, and so I think that goes from the veteran leadership, the coaching staff, preparing those guys for those opportunities, and knowing, and as we've seen, a handful of guys have come off the bench later in the game, sometimes earlier in the game. And so knowing your opportunity could be there at any given moment for us, and that's what's important. Is it looks like guys are playing more for one another and this family, as opposed to worrying about necessarily what the stat sheet or the scoreboard says.
That's kind of the early scouting look at Mercer this weekend.
Well, that's what I was busy doing right there. That's why I'm squinting out here in the sun. I've been inside. Big offense, right? They're one of the top offensive producers in the country right now. They're big on the win column, right? So they're finding ways to win games. And in order to win that many games, you have to have a well-rounded team. But right now, I think as an offense, they're hitting in the high 300s. They got some guys that leave the yard. I wouldn't say they've done a ton on the bases, more than normal, but they're finding ways to get guys on base, draw a ton of walks, slug the ball all over the ballpark. So, just as we're prepping for those things today, what we want to see is us making sure that we're playing our style of ball. And if we execute pitches, we fill up the zone, we feel like we always have a good chance here, especially the way our defense has been playing. But solid ball club, obviously 20-plus wins, and they're traveling across the country to come play. A good competition as well. We know what we're capable of doing, so I think it'll be a good matchup.
How'd you get them out here? Was there a prior relationship with the coaching staff? Or?
No, scheduling an independent schedule, I feel like you're reaching out to everyone, and they've always done a good job being a good RPI team, having a solid ball club, well coached, and so when I saw that their name was up, I definitely wanted to reach out and try to get something on the books scheduled. So I'm happy that they're coming out here so we can have some home games. We're playing a good opponent, which helps the independent look as well. So a lot of phone calls over the last few years, scheduling a couple of years of independent baseball.
Have you ever crossed paths with any of their staff?
No, I don't believe so. Could be wrong, but I mean, baseball is a small community, and a lot of the times when you're traveling around and going to the conventions and stuff, you're constantly running into a whole bunch of folks. The breakout sessions that you get at some of those conventions, where just a mob of coaches get together and you're talking about pitching, defense, base running, culture, whatever, those are always fun. So I am excited to sit down and connect with their skipper as well. I always like picking the brains of others out there, and what do they know, how do they go about things, and studying our opponents. You can learn a lot from studying your opponents.
You talked about, just needing to clean some things up. When you're bringing in a good offense like Mercer, what are you looking for from your defensive side going into this weekend?
And the defense has been doing a great job all around. Outfield communication, tracking down the balls. We've seen, Talt and Hayes, and probably like all of them. Talt, Hayes, Proctor, Haight, all making tremendous plays in the outfield, flying around, playing catch really well. Vasquez, Inge, Vance, Krager, Porter, Singh, all those guys have been doing a great job there as well. Gallo's been solid behind the dish, blocking, throwing. I mean, really, what the defense has been doing is outstanding. I'm looking for just maybe a little more communication. The look when we're getting out there to also help the guy on the mound. So I've encouraged our guys, hey, man, don't be afraid to take more mound visits. It always has to come from door or eye. It can be done from the guys on the field, them owning that situation. But, from the pitching standpoint, continuing to attack 0-0s and 1-1s, those are big pivotal counts, and we need to make sure that we're keeping our percentages, above 65% in each of those counts, because a lot of strikeouts start with 0-1. A lot of walks happen with 1-0, and so we want to make sure that we're taking care of that count first and foremost. And that one area I think that we need to develop on is right when our guys are coming out of the pen, being ready to go face that first guy. I think our on-base percentage against that first hitter has been higher than mine or anyone's liking. And so it's like, just how do we prepare ourselves mentally, physically to get out there and attack that first hitter with the first pitch.
We talked to Klein Schmidt, he's looking like the Klein Schmidt that, we know. Just what are you kind of noticing from what he's doing now, maybe compared to a couple of those starts where he struggled a bit?
It's wild, because if you look at his stuff, his metrics from fastball, slider, changeup, and now adding the cutter, everything is ticked up. It's moving more, it's coming in hotter. And last year batting average against was 160, and this year it's mid 200s. And some of that can be luck, some of that can just be, and even his 0-0s and 1-1s himself are as good as they were last year. So he's still filling up the zone, and that's been something that Dora and I have been diving into. Like, okay, is this just kind of like bad luck from time to time, and it's going to eventually turn around as far as base hits falling? But he's done a great job. He's working glove side to righties, getting in on them and adding that cutter. Has been very impactful as well with his stuff. Changeup has, like I said, gotten a lot better as well, and he's using it at times where they start to catch up to his heater, that he's able to use that very effectively. I mean, batting average against for each of those pitches isn't very high, and so just continuing for him to build consistency, maintain a lot of the strength that he's put a lot of time into developing, which is why his fastball is jumping even more. And last year it was more, high arm side stuff, working up in the zone. Now he's executing glove side stuff. He's executing down when he needs, and his breaking ball has a lot more horizontal to it, and so he's getting good whiff and good weak contact from that as well. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Anything else? Thanks, Mitch.
Sweet. All right.
Coach